Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm so glad you're here with us today because we are looking at a document that really just captures the sheer scale of where the global economy is heading right now.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It really is. We've gotten our hands on this highly strategic corporate presentation deck from Haper Asset International Group, or better known as HAI Group.
Right. And it is a genuinely fascinating blueprint to look through.
Yeah.
What we're looking at is essentially a masterclass in how a traditional physical world company architects this massive transition into a digital powerhouse.
Exactly.
It's their corporate profile and ecosystem overview right alongside their 2026 strategic layout.
And, because we are sitting here right now in the year 2026, going through this deck is incredibly thrilling. It's not some abstract forecast for a distant future.
No, not at all.
It's a live master plan. It's unfolding around the globe right this very second. So our mission today is to guide you through the narrative of this presentation, page by page. We're unpacking exactly how a company with incredibly solid traditional real estate roots managed to chart a course toward becoming, honestly, a dominant player in asset tokenization and digital innovation.
We are going to look really closely at the architecture of their vision. I mean, the level of strategic foresight here is massive.
It's staggering.
It is. They've laid out this ambitious, beautifully planned roadmap, and we are going to break down the actual mechanics of how they plan to pull it off.
Okay, let's unpack this. The presentation actually grounds us right out of the gate by looking backward before it looks forward.
Which is smart.
Yeah. They start with their heritage. So HAI Group was established back in 2012, and the slide proudly states that their DNA is rooted in premier real estate development.
Right.
They list these foundational entities, Sandman Architects, Geelin Real Estate Group, and eStep Digital Education Group.
Yeah.
So their absolute foundation was built pouring concrete and designing actual physical spaces.
Which is a crucial detail to keep in mind as we go through this. They didn't start as some, nimble Silicon Valley software startup.
Right.
They started in the hardest, most tangible asset class there is. And that sets the stage for a massive strategic pivot outlined right after that, which took place in 2020.
The 2020 pivot.
Exactly. They didn't abandon their real estate roots. Instead, they use them as a launch pad. They pivoted to focus on three core pillars: asset, tech, and new finance.
And I really appreciate the motto they highlight during this transition phase. It says, empowering others to realize their own ideals.
That's a great line.
It really frames their entire corporate expansion as a collaborative success. And from that 2020 pivot point, they note their expanding footprint, pushing heavily into Southeast Asian markets.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this 2020 pivot was highly calculated. Traditional real estate creates undeniable physical value, but it is famously illiquid.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot easily trade a skyscraper.
No, you definitely can't.
Right. So by introducing tech and new finance to that solid asset base, HAI Group is outlining a seamless bridge between the traditional heavy economy and the highly liquid digital future. They are essentially future-proofing their enterprise by sitting right on the border of those two worlds.
That concept flows perfectly into their core philosophy, which they define on page 3 as constructing a tokenized world.
Love that phrasing.
It's bold. They state their overarching vision right there, building a comprehensive ecosystem for asset tokenization. And the mission driving that vision is, quote, innovating efficiency in asset activation.
Okay,
let's pause there for you listening, because asset activation sounds like a bit of corporate jargon. What are they actually saying there?
It's a great term to decode. Activation implies that something is currently asleep or dormant.
Okay.
Think about a commercial plaza. It holds millions of dollars in value, but that value is locked up. It's sluggish.
Right, you can't just spend a piece of a plaza.
Exactly. Asset activation means taking that dormant capital and waking it up. They want to turn that static building into dynamic capital that can flow, be traded, and generate yield in real time. They are the catalyst bringing those sleeping assets to life.
To pull that off, they back up their mission with an interconnected web of core values. The slide features this striking graphic showing passion, technology, value, professionalism, trust, service, responsibility, and innovation, all linking together.
It's a very comprehensive ethical framework.
It is,
Yeah.
but the part of their philosophy that really grounds this in reality are the 4 pillars of efficiency at the bottom of the page.
Right, because a vision is just a dream without operational mechanics.
Exactly.
Their 4 pillars show a truly holistic approach to the physical world. First, you have talent maximization, which is unleashing human potential.
Right.
Second, Land utility. That's maximizing the value of real estate, keeping true to that 2012 DNA we talked about. Third is resource efficiency, optimizing material utility, making sure absolutely nothing is wasted. And fourth, commercial flow, streamlining the circulation of goods.
When you look at those four pillars, I mean, imagine partnering with an organization that rigorously applies those filters to every single project.
It'd be incredible.
You are optimizing the people, the physical space, the raw materials, and the movement of the final products. It adds a lot of weight to their tagline on this page. They're positioning themselves as a trusted partner for high efficiency, high return investment.
They're signaling to you, the reader of the deck, that efficiency isn't just some marketing buzzword. It is a measurable operational metric that they track across four distinct domains of physical and human capital.
So they have this massive vision of tokenizing the world and activating assets, but the obvious question is, how do they pull that off without collapsing under their own weight?
Yes, scale is always the danger.
Exactly. That brings us to page 4, their competitive advantage, which they define as integration and stability. They break this down into 3 distinct pillars. First is cross-domain integration. They claim to leverage a diverse talent pool to fuse traditional industry wisdom with innovative digital thinking.
Which totally echoes that 2020 pivot we discussed, taking the architect and putting them in the exact same room as the blockchain developer.
Exactly. Then the second pillar is an innovative asset mechanism. This is where they detail issuing asset-based virtual currency, utilizing blockchain technology to establish unshakable trust and security.
Right.
And the third pillar is a prudent development strategy. They define this as a conservative, phased approach focused on resource accumulation and sustainable leadership, ensuring successful implementation at every single stage.
What's fascinating here is the brilliant juxtaposition of those second and third pillars.
How so?
Well, on one hand, you have blockchain technology, virtual currency, and tokenization. That represents the absolute cutting-edge, ultra-fast frontier of modern finance.
Right, it's the Wild West to a lot of people.
Exactly. But they pair that directly with a conservative, prudent, phased development strategy. In the modern tech landscape, the prevailing mantra is usually move fast and break things.
Yeah, the Silicon Valley way.
Right. HAI Group is actively rejecting that. They are saying we are using the most innovative, disruptive tools available, but we are deploying them with a steady, measured patience of master builders. It is a highly commendable approach designed to guarantee long-term stability rather than just chasing short-term hype.
And that steady, methodical approach translates into a massive suite of actual offerings. The deck moves to page 5, their core product and service matrix, and this slide is just a powerhouse.
It really is.
It's divided into 2 distinct sections. On the business side, they offer everything from asset activation and financial services to venture capital, all the way to O2O global commerce. They even fold in retirement planning, asset inheritance, and management consulting for financial freedom. I mean, it is incredibly comprehensive.
Let's quickly decode O2O global commerce for a second, if that's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Please do.
It stands for online to offline.
Right.
In HAI Group's model, this means you might purchase a digital token or a membership tier online through their ecosystem, but that digital asset translates to a physical, tangible benefit or product in one of their offline retail stores. It's about completely erasing the boundary between internet commerce and physical foot traffic.
That makes perfect sense. But here's where it gets really interesting. The other side of this matrix is entirely devoted to technology and platforms. They aren't just outsourcing the tech to make this happen.
No, and this tech stack is incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah.
They break it down into 4 quadrants. Quadrant A is RWA technology, standing for real-world assets. This is arguably the most important piece of the entire puzzle. Let's translate RWA into plain English for a second.
Go for it.
Imagine HAI Group builds a $50 million commercial plaza in Taiwan. Instead of waiting for one massive institutional buyer to purchase the whole building, they use their proprietary blockchain tech to divide the ownership of that building into, say, 50,000 digital tokens. Now, an everyday investor in Brunei or Indonesia can buy a fraction of that physical building for $1,000, trade it online instantly, and earn a yield. That proprietary stack is what creates high liquidity for physical assets.
That is a total game changer for how we think about property.
Absolutely.
And then quadrant B is tokenization, featuring token pay systems for smooth cross-border transactions. Quadrant C is eMart Global Trade, a platform innovating payment flows for international trade. And finally, quadrant D is Cloud EIP. That's Enterprise Information Portals powered by private AI.
Private AI is a massive strategic asset right now.
It really is.
Instead of feeding sensitive corporate and financial data into a public AI model, they have built a walled garden, a proprietary intelligence system that can analyze global trade flows, property valuations, and logistics for their entire ecosystem without compromising security. And to you listening right now, the reason this entire tech matrix matters is that it proves HAI Group's blueprint has teeth. They aren't a consultancy just advising other companies on how to tokenize. They have built the engines, the RWA platforms, the token pay systems, the private AI to execute their vision entirely in-house.
Building and managing all of that requires a uniquely structured organization. So page 6 outlines their leadership and organizational structure, starting at the top with their founder and group chairman, Andy Pei.
Right.
Beneath his leadership, the organization spans 6 massive domains. We have asset activation, private equity, fintech, international logistics, biomed and aesthetic, and education and arts.
It's a huge spread.
It really is.
Yeah.
And under those domains, they list 12 distinct business entities. Let me just read this roster because it's wild.
Yeah.
Got Haper International, Yuli Management Consulting, Dongting Construction, Yuli Investment, Step High Investment, Taiwan Smart Health Co-op, eMart Corp, Kuni Biotech, Yime Taiwan, Step High FinTech, Chinese Global Arts Association, and the Yongxuan Cultural Foundation.
It is quite the list, isn't it?
It is. I have to pause here because looking at this, it seems almost random at first glance. You have Dongting Construction right next to Kunyu Biotech, sitting next to a cultural foundation for the arts.
Yeah, it looks a bit disconnected on paper.
Right. How does a global arts association or a biotech firm fit into a digital token and real estate ecosystem? What is the actual strategy there?
It's a great question, and it speaks directly to their cross-domain integration pillar from earlier. They don't just want to tokenize buildings. They want to tokenize the entire spectrum of human value.
Okay, explain that.
Think about high-end art, for example. It is just like real estate. It is incredibly valuable, but notoriously illiquid.
Very true.
If the Yongxuan Cultural Foundation secures a masterpiece painting, HAI Group can use their RWA technology to tokenize that physical painting, allowing thousands of people to hold fractional ownership of fine art.
Oh, wow.
Right. And the biotech and smart health entities represent another massive asset class: human longevity and wellness data. By having dedicated entities in everything from hard construction to biotech to the arts, HAI Group is ensuring that virtually any asset class in the global economy can be fed into their tokenization engine. It creates a uniquely resilient, totally diversified corporate structure.
That makes perfect sense now. And that perfectly sets up the climax of the presentation on page 7, where they show how all 12 of these entities actually interact.
This is my favorite slide.
It's brilliant. It's titled the HAI Group Business Ecosystem, and it uses this beautiful visual metaphor. It looks like a giant infinity loop.
Yeah.
Right in the dead center is Yili Management, representing the core of HAI Group.
The heart pumping the lifeblood through the system.
Exactly. On the left side of this infinity loop, you have the offline circle. This houses all the tangible physical businesses, the Taiwan Smart Health Co-op, the investment arms, and Dongting Construction.
Right.
Then on the right side of the loop, you have the online circle. This contains the digital and retail drivers, eMart Global Commerce, the biotech and aesthetic branches, and Step High FinTech.
But the absolute genius of this diagram is on the outer edges of the loop. These are the connectors. On the left, anchoring the offline businesses, is the token RWA mechanism. On the right, anchoring the online side, is the swap mechanism.
So what does this all mean? How does this actually function in reality?
Think of it like a massive digital arcade. The physical real estate, the construction projects, the tangible assets that is the hard cash you bring into the building.
Okay.
The token and RWA connector on the left side is the change machine. It digitizes the value of that physical building and turns it into digital tokens. Once you have those tokens, that value flows into the online side of the loop. Those tokens can now be traded, used to buy goods on eMart, or utilized in Step High FinTech.
And then what happens to the profits generated on the digital side?
That is where the swap connector on the right comes in. The profits, the digital growth, and the data generated online flow back through the swap mechanism, converting it back into capital that is used to build more physical world assets.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, more clinics, more retail stores, more real estate. The physical assets back the digital tokens, and the digital tokens generate capital to build more physical assets. Assets, technology, and new finance continuously feed into each other. It is a brilliant, totally self-sustaining loop of value creation.
A self-sustaining
Right.
loop of value. That is a truly powerful concept, and that machine is operating at full throttle right now. Which brings us to their final slide on page 8, the 2026 Strategic Layout and Roadmap.
Right.
The header boldly states, seizing the era of digital transformation. They outline an aggressive yet highly calculated expansion plan.
Because they have built this infinity loop, they can now deploy it in new environments. They're ready to scale.
Let's look at their international expansion first. They are making a massive thrust into Southeast Asia. In Brunei, they are focusing on education, arts, and real estate. Then in Indonesia, they are targeting mining, real estate, logistics, and new finance.
Which perfectly aligns with their 12 business entities. Look at Indonesia,
Hmm.
a country with massive natural resources.
Huge.
If HAI Group applies their RWA technology to tokenize the mining industry there, creating liquid digital assets out of raw in-ground minerals, the economic potential is just staggering. They are taking their proven tokenization model and deploying it into high-growth emerging markets.
And simultaneously, they are executing a massive domestic Taiwan expansion. They're doing an island-wide retail rollout for their Kuni and Yimi stores. They are establishing dedicated eMart counters inside international channels, and they are rolling out a community expansion of their smart health co-op across all townships.
So they're capturing massive international macro projects while also securing the hyperlocal community retail and healthcare markets. It's incredibly smart.
It really is.
But as an analyst looking at this deck, the most crucial part of this final slide is the banner right at the bottom. Private equity recruitment now open.
Yes, and I want to be clear for you listening. We are looking at this to analyze their business model, not to pitch an investment to you.
Absolutely.
What is so striking here is how they are recruiting. They are not just offering traditional shares, they are offering an incredibly diverse package of rights to their partners: asset rights, token rights, management rights, product rights, and membership rights.
This raises an important question. What does it actually mean to be a shareholder today?
Right.
HAI Group is using this recruitment model to completely redefine that concept for the digital age. Traditionally, you give a company capital, you get a share, and you hope for a dividend. It is passive.
Very pat.
By offering token rights, management rights, and product rights, alongside traditional asset rights, they're inviting partners to become active participants within that infinity loop ecosystem. You aren't just an investor. You are a user, a manager, and a digital participant. It is a radically different way to structure corporate growth.
It is a stunning vision of the future of business. To quickly summarize the journey this presentation has taken us on today, HAI Group started with an incredibly solid, tangible foundation in real estate and construction. Then in 2020, they executed a brilliant strategic pivot to integrate advanced technology and new finance.
Right.
They built a massively diverse 12-entity ecosystem that spans from biotechnology to fine arts, seamlessly bridging the offline and online worlds through proprietary real-world asset tokenization and private AI. And now, sitting here in 2026, they are successfully executing a dominant domestic and international expansion strategy.
It is a phenomenal blueprint for corporate evolution. I mean, truly. And as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
HAI Group is actively pioneering a world where everything from a commercial high-rise to a piece of fine art to a logistics chain can be tokenized and integrated into a fluid digital ecosystem. If real-world assets truly become entirely liquid and digital over the next decade, how will that change your own personal definition of ownership?
Oh, that's good.
How will you restructure your own wealth when the physical and digital worlds are no longer separate, but operate as one seamless infinity loop?
That is a fascinating question, and one we are all going to have to answer sooner rather than later. The future of asset management is clearly already here, and companies like HAI Group are writing the new playbook.